It's the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes. Now don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way the things will really go with Sandra. And some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but someday we'll realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend of Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra.
Good morning, K-Man. How is everyone doing today? Lovely day, lovely day. Why am I starving today? Some mornings I wake up and I just feel so hungry. Hangry. Today's one of those mornings, folks. Gonna have to ask Marlon to bring me some breakfast because I am just starving. What do I feel for? I need something healthy. Healthy-ish. I could go for a nice egg, like a nice omelet or something. It happens. You know, most days I'm now eating one meal a day, but honestly, some days I can't do it. Like today feels like one of those days that I need breakfast. Feels like I'd go for a nice omelet. All right, or some nice liver and onions. Who loves a good liver and onions for breakfast? Okie dokie. Let me see. So I hope everyone had a good evening. We're gonna get into all of the happenings. There's quite a bit actually that is going on around the place. So we're gonna do a deep dive into some of those things here today. And I'm looking for something here in my office and I don't see it. Okay. Give me a second. Let me see if I can put my hands on it. Oh, I forgot to start the Instagram link. Oh, so sorry. Grammar's coming right up for you. All right. Give me one quick second because I thought I had something here in front of me and I don't. So let's play a little musica. And then I'm going to grab what I'm looking for. And I will be right back after these messages. Okay.
I am Richard Hugh, President and CEO of CUC. Our focus has always been on you, our customers. Times are changing, and so are your expectations. We are listening to our employees and the people of the Cayman Islands to find new opportunities that can improve your experience. We are working every day to provide you with a safe and reliable electricity service. You are at the core of everything that we do. We are exploring and adopting new technologies and sources of energy which will benefit you as we become more reliable and more efficient, which will mean lower energy costs. We are working to improve our energy management tools, offer new products and services, and provide 24/7 customer support. Our new vision, empowering Cayman to be a global leader, is building momentum towards a better future for our islands.
Ocean Ridge Heights offers an amazing opportunity to own a piece of land in idyllic Cayman Brac, right on the bluff, starting from $80,000. Located in a quiet residential area with high elevation, these lots are ideal for a future home or investment property and are sure to go fast. Cayman Brac offers a laid-back lifestyle, amazing pristine diving, limestone caves, diverse flora, along with amazing wildlife. Inquire about the owner financing options so that you can secure your piece of paradise today. With only a few lots remaining, these are sure to go before you know it. Contact Crichton Properties today on 345-949-5250 or info@crichtonproperties.com.
All righty. Good morning. Good morning. Everybody's good? Okay, so this morning we are going to talk about I know if you were listening to yesterday's program, you would have heard that former MP and talk show host Austin Harris passed away. So we wanted to properly acknowledge that this morning and talk a little bit about that. Obviously, we knew that Austin was not well, that he was sick. And of course, you know, I think everyone was hoping for a miracle. And unfortunately, you know, that miracle just didn't materialize. So he had a brief illness. I think, you know, if you know that he was sent overseas and then they sent him back. And, you know, I think it's one of those things that's difficult because a lot of people say, well, what was it? What did he have? And so, you know, you like to try to respect people's rights to some of this information. But when you're a public figure, you also recognize that unfortunately, a lot of this stuff is already in the public domain and, you know, people are sharing and perhaps sometimes oversharing. And, you know, I think in the end, really, you could say that it was his heart that could not take whatever situation he was actually in. But to just acknowledge his life, he was only 53 years old. You know, he's a former MP. We do have a message this morning that we're going to play from the premiere. I'm assuming today that the flags are at half-mast as well. I haven't heard any confirmation of that, so hopefully nobody in protocol has forgotten that needs to be done, and it should be done already. And I guess protocol will also be I don't know. Actually, I don't know, if they do it for all MPs or if it's just people who are at a particular level, but I think they will assist. Certainly, if the family needed it, they would offer some assistance with the programming, um, assisting with the service and stuff like that. So, I don't know what to say. It's, he started out his career. Hopefully, you guys got to read the article on CMR, which gives a bit of information about his life. Most of us would probably remember him holding down the talk show over at Rooster for a number of years before then getting into politics. He ran and was elected for one term. And unfortunately for him, he was not reelected. And then he tried his hand at a few other things, including another talk show, which unfortunately was, didn't really go anywhere. And he quit that last year. And the circumstances around that, I don't really want to get into this morning. But the show ended, not so much to do with him, but more to do with his partner at the state, his partner who was co-hosting the show with him. But this is not the time or place for that story. So anyway, he's very young. I mean, I thought he was a lot older than he was. I must say that I thought he was just like a year. He's 72, I'm 73. So he was just like a year older than me. Probably not even a full year, to be honest. So, yeah, very, very sad situation. He leaves behind one son, Alexander, his mother, Miss Ruby. Miss Ruby is so pleasant. And he only had one brother as well, one sibling, and then a host of aunts and other close family members. So we just want to take a moment this morning to extend our condolences really to his entire family, especially Miss Ruby and Alex, and his brother. I imagine if you go through life with only one sibling, that's got to be challenging to lose that person. So, support the family, I think, in any way that you can. Sometimes the family just needs sometimes they just need to know that you're there. They don't necessarily need anything else, if that makes sense. I know Caymanians love to inundate people with like phone calls and all this stuff. And sometimes I think it can be a bit much. So, yeah. I know people were really hoping that things could have turned out differently. So let me just find the message from the premier. Obviously, like I said, he was a former MP. So I think there's certain things in terms of protocol that should be done. And I'll leave that to the experts to do so. And then whatever that entails, we will certainly update all of you in relation to that. But I'm just going to get this audio ready. Let me just pull this up real quick. So, yeah, tough times for sure. Tough situation. All right, let me just read a few messages as well. And Ingrid, thank you so much for kind of holding it down. So someone says, yes, the Cayman flags will be at half mast today. So we have confirmation that that will happen today. So the flag will be flown at half mast on today, Wednesday, January the 28th. And that will be the Cayman Islands flag at all government buildings, entities, and schools during normal business hours from sunrise to sunset. And someone from the protocol office actually sent out what that means, just in case some people didn't know. And it's half mast is a flag is to raise the flag to the normal position all the way to the top of the pole, and then lower it to approximately 1/3 from the top of the flagpole. This tradition is that anyone observing the flag will see that it was intentionally lowered rather than failing, to be fully raised. So the half-mast flag will be one flag height from the top of the pole. Lower than this would be a sign of disrespect. For reference, just leave enough space as though another flag was above it. So protocol office has sent that out to the respective, I guess probably all of government got that yesterday. So thank you so much to our astute listener. A+ for you. A+ student sending that to us. And yes, so that is the proper protocol as well. So someone says, good morning. Can we get traffic department and NRA on the show? Well, of course, we can invite them on. They're sending me a picture of the traffic, but I'm not so sure what you want them to tell you. This is going to definitely go beyond them. But yes, I will invite them on the program. I'll send you a message right now. I don't think they're going to alleviate your traffic flow issues at the moment, but we will certainly invite them on the show. At least it'll give you something to listen to when you are stuck in traffic. All right. So let me just pull up the message. It's sad. I think that Austin, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's pretty sad. Okay, let me just pull up this message real quickly here. And yeah. Okay, give me 1 second. Trying to make sure I'm uploading the correct audio. Oh gosh. Un momento, please. Yes, here it is. Just want to make sure. Oh, check the file name and try again. Okay, let me try again. Let me just save it again. For some reason. Oh, I see what I've done. Tisk. My apologies. Yeah, I see what happened here. Okay. I think we got it. Hold on. Moving parts this morning. I think I've now figured out what was going on. Okay. Let me just see here. Okay. I believe this should be it. Good morning. Okay.
Greetings, Cayman. As many may now know, at 12:36 a.m., 27th of January 2026, Cayman sadly lost former parliamentarian Austin Harris. To many, Austin was a colleague or a friend, and to others, close family. At this time, on behalf of all parliamentarians currently serving or previously serving, I offer sincere sympathies to Austin's family. Austin was kind, good-humored, well-intended, and had a passion for Cayman and its people. So we extend our thoughts and prayers to Brother Austin. May you rest in peace, and God's light perpetually shine upon you. God bless, my brother.
All right, folks. So there you have it. 53 years old. Austin has passed away. Austin Harris. Osman Harris. So brief message there from the premier. And I thought this morning that we should acknowledge Austin and his life and his contributions. He was sometimes a controversial figure, but when you're in this space, that comes with the territory, I suppose. And he will certainly be missed by a lot of people in the community, and most certainly by his family. So Aliano saying good morning, Cayman. Rest in peace to Austin. Feel free to call in with your messages. Perhaps his mom will have an opportunity at a later date to listen to the program as well. And no doubt this will give her some comfort. Miss Lucille expressing her condolences to the family and friends as well. Says very sad to hear may his soul rest in peace. And wishing for God to give strength to the family. And Miss Sue sending her thoughts to Miss Ruby, his mom. She said that when I first arrived, lovely lady, and yes, his brother Rob too, condolences to the family. Rest in peace, Austin. Kimmy, good morning to you. She says, good morning, Sandy. Rest in peace, my friend Austin Harris. I'm heartbroken. Olivia, good morning. Miss Sonita says he was a wonderful person. May the heavens receive him as he travels home. So again, in case you missed it, Austin Harris passed away. So, he held, like I said, a prominent role as a radio talk show host for many, many years. He had a very interesting style that many people enjoyed during the morning drive time way back when. And he eventually transitioned from that into politics, where he served as a one-term MP, and I think he was actually parliamentary secretary as well for part of that with the progressive government for the constituency of Prospect. Yeah. So he was a consular, because I think that's what they were called at that time. And then eventually, once they changed the structure, it became parliamentary secretary to the premier, which was the Honorable Alden McLaughlin. So, I always, you have to acknowledge what people do in their lives and give, as they say, give people credit. Because I always heard, and somebody was reminding me the other day, they said, Sandy, he was actually your first interview that you did. And I think that that's right. Way back when, we, I had a vision for doing I don't even know what it was. I guess podcast. I don't even know what the term is, because like I said, podcast, talk show, they're all very, very intermingled these days. And so, you know, it's interchangeable, really. But yeah, I do recall that way back when I was, I thought, okay, doing the whole CMR thing, I want to have, I knew I wanted to do interviews, but I knew also that I wanted to do video interviews. And so I reflect back on, and I've actually found the link here on Facebook. So back in January of 2019, wow, time really flies. We had put up a message to join us for a live stream chat on Wednesday evening with Consular Austin Harris, and he was discussing the Unity government's plan to reform social assistance in the Cayman Islands. And so, yeah, there's that post from way back when, back in 2019. And so, Austin understood, I think, the space of media. And so I'm going to actually show you guys the video because you might find this is a throwback moment that I think you will no doubt find interesting. So yes, I think he understood the assignment. And so he was always willing to come on board and be part of the process. It's not easy being in politics. It's not easy being on the front line. And it's certainly not easy even being involved in, just being involved in like media, being on the front line of that, I know is not an easy position to be in either. So he transitioned from one to the next, and he left Rooster, and then he went and did Straight Talk for a bit. And, he really held down the fort over at Star 92.7, doing Straight Talk before he eventually ran and was successful politically. So I'm going to share just a little snippet of this 2019 interview. Again, it was January of 2019 with all of you, because it certainly brings back memories. We had an interesting relationship, I suppose. I found him to be a very, very interesting person. I often don't really get involved with people on a super personal level. And there's different reasons for that. I mean, let's just be honest. Sometimes I'm a person who actually really just likes my space. I know it sounds weird because I'm kind of in this space. A lot of people think that I want to talk to people all the time and that I want to hang out with people all the time. And I actually don't. Truth be told, my circle is very, very small, and I enjoy my own company a lot. And so, sometimes people reach out to me in this space and they'll want to make a particular connection. And I'm not really up for it because I put a lot of energy into, like, when I do the shows and interviews and stuff, and then that's it. So, we kept it at that level. That's what I'm trying to convey here. So it wasn't really, and of course I called him out when he needed it. I mean, I think you guys know that for sure as well. So I'm going to do just a little throwback moment here where we're going to go back to this interview. Just give me 1 second. Back in 2019. So, let's see, the computer's thinking. I don't want to overwork the computer. Hold on. Let me close a few tabs here. You never want the computer to be overworked. All right, give me a second. It's thinking. Uh-huh. I heard it go boom. All right, give me 1 second. Uh-oh. I might have to. Okay. I think we're back. All right. So just a little glitch there. All right. So here's an interview that, like I said, this certainly brings back memories for me. Having interviewed Austin when he entered the political arena. And it was one of the first, it was when we were starting the Cold Hard Truth. And if you remember, you will recall that initially it was actually an evening show on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So some of you might not remember this, but it started out as an evening show. So here's a little clip from one of the very first interviews I would have done. I think, in fact, the first interview for the show. So here we go. Good evening and welcome to another segment here of the live stream with Cayman Mall Road. As you guys know, this is something new that we started for 2019. Really excited to have some wonderful guests in the studio. Mr. Austin Harris, consular, has joined us today. So we're going to have a really interesting conversation with him about the social assistance program in the Cayman Islands, which tends to take a lot of flack, but apparently the government, the unity government, has been doing a lot of work, really, with this new, well, not so new, but with the whole social assistance program and what's normally called NAU, the Needs Assessment Unit. And so we'll get an idea of what they've been working on, what is coming up, and how you, the general public, can get involved. So I just want to remind you guys, if you're viewing this video right now, obviously you're on our Facebook live stream. So please send in your comments, your questions. I'll be monitoring all of that here because, of course, we want to hear from you. Austin would love to hear your comments, your feedback, and that's what consultation is all about, trying to get people to participate. And it's just amazing how many times I have seen, just time and time again, people complain about not having access to their politician, or they have no input in what's going on, and they're questioning, is this really a democracy? Well, if it's a democracy, but you, the general public, the voters, have to be willing to participate in the process. That's right. So, I have been shocked at the number of issues that have come up that require consultation and encouraging people to get involved and to give their feedback. And some of these issues have been significant issues in terms of on the mall road, so to speak. People have been talking about them, and we want the government to take action. And then once they start that consultation process, people just disappear. The conversation stops, and I am always quite surprised that happens. So needs assessment, social assistance programs are really important. They're a really important component of any society, to be honest. And so we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to understand what's going on, how the process is working at the moment, what's to come, and how you can certainly get involved. So Austin, first of all, I'd like to thank you for coming in.
It is my pleasure to be with you. I thank you for this opportunity, Sandra, and I certainly want to say good evening to all of those tuned in now, or certainly later on, as people tend to do in these streaming opportunities. I also want to congratulate the Marl Road for the enormity of its success. You certainly are making great strides, and this new streaming video component is just another example of that growth, and it just does my heart good to see a young Caymanian entrepreneur, achieving success. Certainly, to the overarching point of why we're together, the government is seeking to apply some new solutions to a relatively old problem, and that is, of course, the problem of the delivery of social and financial assistance. The government has.
So I just thought I'd share that. I mean, that is really, a throwback moment, if you will, to demonstrate that, over the years we interacted at different levels. And that was, he was one of the first people that came. Like I said, I really believe that was the very first iteration of, oh, look at me, I'm trying something new with my background this morning. You guys have to tell me how you like it. I think to get rid of this, I need a proper green screen. But anyway, very first iteration of what eventually became the Cold Hard Truth. And so back in the early days, what memories, right? Talk about the echo in the room, and trying to, fix a lot of audio issues, how we were live streaming. Someone said it was so nice that he acknowledged he was really good, and he was supportive of you, that was really good. He was supportive of you. So, I certainly appreciated that. Was he a perfect man? Far from it. But this is not the time or the place for that. So I see some of your comments coming into me privately, and there's a time and place for everything. So, we all will have to travel this road. And I want to be very, very respectful, especially of Miss Ruby and his son. And, it is what it is. So, rest in peace, Austin. Really, really sad. So we go back to, remember when he had a short stint with the Progressives, where he had a show with them called Let's Talk. That was before the Straight Talk came back on Bobo. And unfortunately, Caymanians are very, very interesting people when it comes to how they show up and how they do certain things. And so I've always said this, and I even say this to some other people who are in this space, that, when it comes to politics and you leave the political arena, right? Normally you leave because you get voted out. People normally don't want to hear much of anything after that from you. And I've always said there's never been a successful person who's come back as a talk show host, except now I stand to be corrected. Take that. I stand to be corrected, because the one person who has done that actually is Sabrina Turner. So it took a woman to do it. Yes, indeed. But she, barely lost, but a loss is a loss, no matter how you take it. And yes, and she actually, by all measures, has been doing amazingly well. So congrats to her. But yeah, I understand how incredibly difficult it is. And so, unfortunately, he was not able to get back in that space. So it is what it is, right? All right. So Austin, again, we're sorry for the loss. His mom, his brother Rob. I actually know Rob from my days as a member. I don't think I was an official member, but I went quite a bit. I was a member-ish of the gun club, and I used to be there all the time. Rob was always super helpful in assisting me with getting my shots correctly with skeet shooting, getting that target. So Rob, I'm so sorry that you have you've lost your one and only brother. And so I know that no doubt challenging times ahead for you. All right. and Miss Monica, all of his aunts, and everybody else in the family as well. All right, folks, let's move on. Good morning, Miss Alba. Buenos dias. Hello, Shaka Zulu. Sunita says, yes, it's a road we all will travel. Save my space, my brother. Yeah, we all, nobody's getting out of this one alive. So somebody says, how do you measure a successful life? And I said, well, we're all going to get there one way or the other. We're literally all going to end up in a pine box. You know, it doesn't matter how fancy the box is. It is what it is. So I will reserve any additional comments, I think, and just leave that there. So let's move on. We have the Minister of PLAHI, Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing, and Infrastructure. I think I got them all. He'll be joining us tomorrow in the program. So make sure that you tune in for that. Minister Jay Ebanks will be with us tomorrow. I'm excited. And thank you so much to all of the government members who do come on the show, because, you know, the people want to hear from you, and, you know, what you have to say is important. I mean, you guys are running the country after all. So last week on Thursday, I had an opportunity to attend a graduation with PWD, and I do have it. We're going to share it later on. Probably not today, but maybe in Friday's segment, because I think that there's so many opportunities that are happening in the community, whether it's the DART hospitality training program, for example, whether it's the PWD, they have this apprenticeship program, this training program, and then people are able to, oh, yes, my apologies. Somebody did say this to me last week, and I should acknowledge this as well. Someone said that, in fact, Austin has two brothers. I think this one's a half brother, but nonetheless, they are blood. And his name is David Frederick. I don't think I actually know David, but you are absolutely right. So I want to acknowledge David Frederick as well as being his brother. And yes, he's an older brother. So I stand corrected on that front. Thank you for the reminder. So, yes, I was saying that there's a lot of good programs that are happening right here in the Cayman Islands. And oftentimes we don't, get to talk about them as much as we should. We don't acknowledge them as much as we should. So I want to acknowledge all of the amazing programs that are happening, because these programs are giving Caymanians opportunities to excel in their professions. So we know we're always talking about, we need more. Every single election, it comes up again. We need an apprenticeship school. And in fact, I don't know that we need a whole school, but programs like what PWD does, I think, go a long way to demonstrating how this can work. And there's a number of Caymanians in this that were graduating from different level 1, level 2, and they were excelling in different areas. They can pick an area of interest. So we're going to show that video probably on Friday's show. And I also do have one from the hospitality school as well. So maybe on Friday, we'll kind of focus on all of the positive things in the community that are happening around skilled training, right? Around apprenticeships and training programs and training, as we say, the non-academic world. these kids, these young people, they still have to study hard. They still have to apply themselves. I was so pleased to see that there were 2 women in the cohort that graduated. And the top student was actually one of the young ladies, one of the 2 young ladies, applied herself, and they're doing things like plumbing and electrical. And so these are the skills that we keep saying that we want to see Caymanians actively involved in. And so I think it is important for us to acknowledge these programs, that they do exist, that the government is playing their role, the private sector, such as the DART organization with their hospitality school, is playing their role. And so, we need to get it done. Yeah. So let's ensure that we acknowledge and encourage our young people to be able to do those programs, and that they even know that they are available. Okay. Okay. All right, let me just. Okay, I will then. Okay. So, anywho, yes, I think that I was so proud to see all of these Caymanian faces walking on the stage and getting their certificates, and some of them being honored for like the most improved, top student. And I was like tickled pink that they had this little ceremony for them. So I'll get to share that with you guys. And I think that you're really going to enjoy it. So make sure you tune in early on Friday's show. Morning, Strong Wilt. Miss Yelene, good morning. Sadika, how are you? Sadika is wishing everyone a productive day. Miss Faith and Hope is here. Sandra Coe says, Sandy, thank you. Very, and I think something got cut off there, but no problem. You're absolutely welcome. I do want to share something with you guys. I'm trying to figure out how to. Okay, give me a second. So I have shared before, and we're going to get into a couple different things today. So I've got an FOI out. My apologies. I think I actually made a bit of a mistake recently in relation to an FOI query that I thought I had sent in. Like I actually drafted it and everything, and then it seems like I actually forgot to send it in. So my apologies, because when I was talking recently about the DPP's office, I made mention that I'd sent it in. And in fact, it turns out that I hadn't. Hadn't hit the send button. So I did send it over the weekend. They now have 30 days to respond. And we're going to circle back to the DPP's office, because there's certain bones. When I pick a bone, there are certain bones that in good conscience, I cannot let go of, because they're that important to our community. They're that important to Caymanians advancing in the workplace. And they're that important for the general public to know what injustices are actually happening. It is very, very important that people have a good, keen understanding of how dysfunctional, unfortunately, that DPP's office has been operating. And they hire, one little token Caymanian, and then want to talk about that during a formal address at the opening of the Grand Court and think that that's going to placate the general public. And so the general public deserves to know the truth. And what can I say except we are here to tell you that truth. Okay. So I've sent them some questions, and once we get the responses to those, we can revisit that discussion as well. And in fact, I understand that his contract was just renewed by the governor, which I'm flabbergasted at, to be quite frank and honest. That was so silently done that none of us are aware of that. Watch this space, honey child. Watch this space, because we are not letting it go. Okay? We got you, my fellow Caymanian lawyers in that space. We got you. Good morning, Lavana. Happy Hump Day, Paul. Miss Sandra says, good morning. Thanks, Sandy. Very thoughtful and respectful. Rest in peace, Austin. Condolences to Miss Ruby and family. Good morning to Miss Flora as well. Hermes, good morning. How are you? So I was sent a video this morning, and I want to share this with you guys because I thought, in the name of who we are as a community, acknowledging our culture. And I actually have this book, and I think I've read a poem from it before. And I told you how this book was gifted to me by Amiki Brown. And so I love when young people discover poetry, reading, and things like this that touch them, and they want to share it with other people. So big shout out to young Mr. Rocket. I cannot remember his first name right now. Oh gosh. Y'all gonna have to remind me of Rocket's first name here. He found this poem. He found this poetry book. He'll tell you here in this video, and he read it, and I thought, oh, that is so impressive, so sweet that I'm glad he's reading. And I'm glad he's reading poetry. Bernard, yes, thank you. Yes, young Bernard Rocket. And I really love that this poem touched him. And I hope that he will continue to read all of the poems in her book, because she is an amazing author. And I'm going to let you guys listen to it, and you tell me what you think. What do you guys think of my background this morning? Snow back there, you know? Sometimes I like a virtual background, but I got to sort out my green screen so that like this little thing here doesn't happen. So I'll work on that. All right, but here is young Bernard sharing a poetry I'm reading from Amiki Brown.
All right. So I think today, like, Remembrance Day or something. I don't know. But
All right. Let me stop right there. I got to slap him for not knowing that it was actually Heroes Day. We'll talk about that. But he kind of eventually said Heroes Day. But he was like, Remembrance. I'm like, Remembrance Day? No, it's Heroes Day. All right, kid.
I was cleaning out my room and shit. And then I found this book that my friend gave me. It kind of mashed up a little bit. Don't watch that. But it's a Caymanian book, you know, written by Annika Hill. But since it's like Remembrance Day or Heroes Day or something, I don't know. This is my favorite poem that I read in her thing, so I wanted to read it to you and let you guys, you understand? It's called Dear Pa. So it goes like, Dear Pa, you are missed every day by those you left behind. Your girls long for your comfort when the world gets so unkind. But Pa, as I look today at what home has become, I kinda glad you left before the damage was done. You see, Pa, if you come back today and we were still so poor, there is no way that you could feed your family anymore. The rabbits you would hunt with the BB gun and the slingshot, if the neighbors were to see you now, they'd run and call the cops. Oh, and those neighbors are no longer people with our last names, but folks who have just come here on some fancy aeroplane. Old people live with their children under one roof and one rent, cause with 1 month's work for 1 month's bill, the money all done spent. I know what you thinking, Pa. Don't fret, you know we was raised right. We were nice to the new people, even the crooks we do not fight. But now we need a license to sell breadfruit from the yard. And if you see how much that license costs, you know times are really hard. Spear gun and hook stick worse. Pa, though you raise us under the sea, though you raised us on the sea, we would lose our freedom if we were how you raised us to be. Remember that old coral head where you tied your old fish pot? Bobo went fishing there last week. He in jail because he got caught. Oh, pa, times is hard. And we miss you, we really do. But if you come back home today, it would be illegal just to be you. Like, yo, I rate that poem because our culture is dying. I sweating right now how hard it is outside. But our culture is dying, bro. You understand? Like, and it's sad. It's sad to see Caymanians going extinct. But I love that poem. You go hit up Anika Hill and you can buy one of these books. You know how it go.
All right. So yes, you can get one of those books. And while he was reading, I pulled mine out. Oh gosh, I got to get rid of this background. Hold on. This background is not working for me. That is just not working, honey child. I'll do it another day. Okay, I'll sort that out. I'll eventually get it. Oh, my other light isn't on. Hold on. Might help if I actually turned on all the lights around here. Let me see if that extra light helps it. Hold on, let me see. Anyway, I've got the book. Yeah, it doesn't work when you're trying to show something. Signs of Us. It is a great book. You can purchase it at the bookstore. And I think I've read before her little inscription. She says, to Sandra Hill, child of Cayman, a voice for the people. And she signed it, Aniki. Thank you so much. And she gave me this wonderful card with a personal note, which I will cherish forever. And she's got a lot of really amazing poems in here. Here's one called Scranton Abandoned. Oh my God. If you're a towner, y'all better try and read that. One called Crab Season, Vitamin D Deficiency, Compass. Wow. Solomon's Baby, Sleepiness in Savannah. Some are very short. No Apologies for You. Oh, that one looks good. So get this. She actually has a show. And Dear Pa is on page 45, by the way. I love it. Good job, Bernard. Good job. But she actually has a show on CMR TV called Books and Bush Tea. And you got to watch it because she really gets into like books and writing. She did an interview. I think her last episode was Mr. Oh Lord, have mercy, Mr. Crawford. Mr. Crawford, she said that interview was amazing. So please go check it out. You can check her out on the website. And, Books and Bush Tea airs every week. Let me try and remember what day she airs. I got to pull up the schedule. Hold on. But I think you guys would really, really enjoy her program if you've not yet discovered it. So please go check it out. And also support our independent content creators. You got a business that you'd like to advertise? This is a great way to do it. These shows are getting thousands of views every single week. And they have a lot of great content. There's the Art Beat. There's tons of, Rayon is doing authentic. So let me just double check what day her show is actually on. But it's called Books and Bush Tea. And so she's doing all things literary. And in fact, right now, I don't know if you guys saw this, but she has a call out for anyone, men who love a good romance novel. Somebody said that's a tall order, girl. But I know that straight men, I know y'all are out there that you probably low key, maybe you don't want to admit it, but I think a lot of you probably like romance novels. Any of you out there? Hit her up because she's looking to do a show around that. Men loving romance novels and stuff. I'm not much of a romance novel person myself, to be honest. However, I like a good romance movie every once in a while. I'm just not that into romance books, but I know some of you probably are. So here's the lineup for the week. I was just pulling this up. So Books and Bush Tea is on, let me see, books, Thursday evenings at 8:00. So you can watch her every single Thursday at 8. And so I loved that this morning I woke up to a video of young Bernard actually reading a poetry reading. From Aniki Hill's book. So Signs of Us, again, available at your local bookstores, an exploration of the Caymanian identity in poetry. She's an author, and she also is a lover of all things literary. She loves to read. She loves to write. She likes to interview people about their own works. And if you have a love of, anything literary as well, please do reach out to her. In fact, she did a little video call out. So let me just see if I can find this really quickly so that you can see. She's calling out for a unicorn, she says. Here we go.
So we are almost in February, the month of romance and love and Valentine's and all those awesome things. And this February, we are looking for a unicorn. I'm looking for a man who is straight, who reads romance. Okay? You got that? Straight man romance. We have to talk. There's a lot I think we can learn from you. So please, 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 please DM me, message me. Let's have this conversation because you have cracked the code and we want to talk about it.
Sounds like that's going to be an interesting show. So if you enjoy good romance, you got to be a man. You got to be straight. Sorry, turn on straight friends. But if you know, you know. It's harder. That's why you're a unicorn. It's harder to find straight men that will even admit that they love romance novels. But if you meet those 3 criteria, man, straight, and love romance novels, reach out. Apparently, she's going to be doing a show about that. She's also interviewed people like Miss Joy Basteo. Miss Joy has recently authored a book as well. Congratulations, Miss Joy. I love that for you. One of these days, I'm going to get to writing a book. I'm not sure yet what it's going to be. I like true crime. Like, I feel like my book could be like a true crime novel. In fact, I have an idea in my head, somewhere all the way in the back of my head. I want to start doing like these video shorts where we look into Cayman true crime stories, but like in video format and stuff. Yeah, stay tuned. It'll firm up in my brain one of these days. But I think that would be like an awesome show to do. So there you have it. She's looking for you. So if you fit the bill, you're a unicorn, do reach out to Aniki. You can hit her up on Books and Bush Tea, available on Instagram. And I don't know if she has a Facebook page, but she's definitely on Instagram. All right. So again, congratulations to everyone. This is our lineup of weekly shows. It's really coming together. There's a few that are still in production. So we're still waiting on table talks with Miss Hunter. Hopefully that's coming soon. But most of these are up and running. I'm so proud of them. I'm just absolutely proud of all of our artists and stuff like this. So Nita says, laughing out loud, I love his style. Such a fun person with the truth. Little Bernard, young Bernard. Yes. Inspiring says it's truly heartbreaking to watch the culture slowly disappear, taking with it stories, identity, and a sense of belonging. Once lost, those human threads can never be restored. And that brings me to another point. Inspiring, one of the shows that we have on the lineup, which I do, is Cayman Voices. And Cayman Voices is anyone 60 plus or seniors who are still with us because they have a story to tell. They have many, many stories to tell. And this is about our identity. This is about our stories. And it's not exclusively Caymanian, because there's some people who have, they were here in the trenches for the past 50, 60 years with us. And so they have a story as well. They become Caymanians and they have a story. So they are, I would love to interview some of them as well. But there's so many people like Captain Paul Hurlston. I always wanted to do him. And unfortunately, we just couldn't get it aligned. And so, now he's passed away. That's a story lost. That is multiple stories lost. That's part of our history that's lost. So please, if you know of anyone, in fact, one that I need to chase up is Ralston's dad. I need to interview him because these stories, they're important to us. These people are who we are. They're an integral part of our culture. They're seamen, they're entrepreneurs, they're homemakers. When I did the one with Miss Virginia, for example, oh my God, love her. Just absolutely love her. Caymanians have really stood the test of time. Miss, unfortunately, she just passed away recently. But Miss Alrita, I'm going to re-air that in memory of her passing away. But Miss Alrita, wow, Caymanian women were tough as nails, man. They did so much in the community, in their homes. A lot of times they were mistreated. They weren't always respected, but they still really held their own. And there's so many Caymanians now that have had successful families, multiple generations. And we have to look to the women who did that. Yes, the men went to sea. Yes, they were sending back money. But listen, if you didn't have a strong, principled woman who was here, who knew how to, rub them two little shillings together to make it work, yeah, we would still not, still wouldn't happen. The men had the freedom to be able to go out to sea, to be able to travel and see the world. The women were so restricted, and yet they still really made a lot of it. They raised their children. They made sure that families were fed, and where necessary, they shared within the community. They still came with a lot of wisdom and a lot of hard work, and they were the supportive role and oftentimes in a leadership role as well. So hit me up if you know of anyone who you think fits the bill for our Cayman Voices segment. I really, really enjoy sitting down and hearing these stories. I'm always in awe every single time. And what's interesting is, and I've said this before, so many of them struggled with poverty and when things were tough. I know right now we think things were tough, but back then they were really tough. Tough. Yeah, different kind of tough. So, we are survivors, folks. And speaks a lot to who we are as a people. All right. So thank you so much. Now, I've got some good news this morning that I'm going to share. And this is going to be breaking news here on our show. So you guys will remember that we did a story about young Mikey, who unfortunately got detained by ICE. Now, Mikey is a Caymanian. He is, one of us, and we try to hold our people down no matter what. And it was really, really unfortunate to hear that he had gotten caught up in this whole thing with ICE. So ICE nabbed him. They say that ICE is, some of y'all claim, doing stuff, they're doing the right thing, whatever. But there are people who say, no. Listen, we have done the right thing. And despite doing the right thing, going through the process, going through the legal process, whatever, ICE is doing the most. Well, I've been sitting back and I've been making a lot of observations. Another American was killed last week at the hands of ICE. In fact, it turns out that the video evidence and eyewitness evidence now shows that it was 2 officers who took out a gun and shot him. A man that they claimed, he was armed. Well, the funny thing about that is they didn't even know the man was armed. They knew he was armed afterwards, right? And there's no law, y'all. It's so funny because these are same people going around toting big guns and talking about how the First Amendment right, I don't think it's the First Amendment, but whatever amendment, 14th Amendment, 13th Amendment, whatever right to bear arms that they have, Americans fight for that right. They want to be able to walk around with like 50 Uzis on their backpack in the middle of the street. And their laws are very, very liberal that allows them to do that. So now they're like, well, you don't go to a peaceful protest with a gun. Well, he had a license. He had a carry and conceal or whatever it's called license. And so he was not in the wrong. He had all rights to do that. At no point did he brandish the weapon or anything of the sort. They didn't even know he had a weapon. So that's not why they tackled and attacked this man. They got upset with him because he was legally recording them. You're allowed to record ICE agents, by the way. Any officer in public, you're allowed to record. Anyway, I digress because they're even showing up. Let me tell you how far they've gone now. They're even showing up at the Ecuadorian embassy. Did you guys see that video? They showed up at the Ecuadorian embassy knocking and telling them to let me. I'm like, the embassy of Ecuador? These ICE agents are so unintelligent. They don't know that an embassy is considered, although it's in America, that is considered foreign soil when you step foot on an embassy ground. So that's like Ecuadorian soil. It's like, what are you guys trying to do? Anyway, you know what? I say, let them show the entire world who they are. Because the more they do it, the more Americans they kill, and I hate to say this, but the more Americans they killed a Cuban guy that's been rated a homicide, 30-something people killed in ICE custody last year alone. They are interfering with investigations. The evidence is disappearing. What they recently did, which I thought was very, very interesting, is they actually had some of the people who witnessed the homicide, it's been ruled by the medical examiners a homicide of the Cuban guy. They've actually quickly deported them all of a sudden now so that there's no eyewitnesses to go to court and to testify as to exactly what happened. This is what the American government is doing. But I sit and I watch as an outsider. I'm not an American citizen. And I say, you know what? Just like I said with the Venezuelans, it is for the American people to decide how much of this they're going to put up with and how much of this they're not going to put up with. That is a matter for them. And the more it continues and the more it happens and the more people wake up and they say, no, this has gone too far. Even now, the Trump's, what is it? Latinos for Trump, even to them have now come out and made a statement that they're against how this is being done. They said, no, it's gone way beyond. The president of the Latinos for Trump is now fearful that her son could potentially be stopped by an ICE agent, although he's an American citizen, and dragged or shot in the middle of a street like a dog, worse than a dog. And so it is what it is. They'll wake up. They will wake up. And she said, you know what? The Republicans are going to lose the midterms and they're going to lose the presidency in the next election because of Trump, who, by the way, doesn't even identify himself as a Republican. He ran with the Republican Party, but he just makes up his own stuff, as he goes along. And he's just MAGA. MAGA is his own separate world, right? So anyway, I'm not trying to go too deep down that rabbit hole because, like I said, Americans will correct what they've gotten wrong. Trump says that Lucky Body says Trump wants a civil war so that the next election doesn't happen. Well, they're going to get a civil war, but the average American in this day and age has no clue what a modern civil war will look like for them. Did you guys see the protest videos of the weekend in Minnesota? The people that showed up, good for them. The Venezuelan president right now, the new president, saying that she's already sick and tired of taking orders from Trump because they're stealing their oil, stealing their oil, lining it, sending it to his accounts overseas where it's not even in an American bank. I can't understand people who justify this man's actions and logically try to make an argument. America is so great. Why would you take funds that have come from the sale of Venezuelan oil and put it in a foreign bank account? Why? You know why? Because he knows that once he gets out of office, he's impeachable. And the first thing they're going to do is start chasing the money. His family has tripled his personal wealth. The Trump family has tripled their wealth in just the last year. And y'all think that he's looking out for the average man. It boggles my mind. It is just like, wow. Whew. That's crazy. So El Rey is here talking about more people died in ICE custody deportations under Obama. That's actually not true. More people didn't die in ICE custody. More people, and we're talking about a year. So not under Obama. Obama was in for 8 years. So if you're comparing 1 year to 8 years, you got a problem. But there is some truth in that. And that, yes, more people, and this is where then it counters your argument. So El Rey, you guys claim that Trump was going to do something better and different than Obama because apparently Obama and Biden were allowing all of the foreigners to stay. And now you come with the argument that, Obama was deporting more people. That's actually correct. They did. So then what was your problem? It can't be an argument that there weren't people being deported. Because if now you can tell me that Obama deported more people, which that is actually factually correct, then why is ICE going on like this? ICE has always operated, they were different names, but they've always operated within the perimeters of the law. What has changed isn't even about the number of deportations. It is how it's being done. And how it's being done, El Rey, is precisely what matters. So you're arguing against yourself. So, right, Obama deported more people than Trump. That's a fact. And so that was done over 8 years. How was that done without people getting gunned down, Americans shot and killed in the streets? So here's the basic numbers. So let's fact check this. Yes, in absolute numbers, the Barack Obama administration deported significantly more people than Donald Trump's administration so far. So you guys needed ICE to get additional funding, ramped up like a bunch of goons in the streets with all these weapons because of what reason? I'm glad you said it. Because then your argument, which you said just last week or the week before, that, the last administrations were letting all these foreigners in, all these illegal, all these murderers, blah, 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 blah. Now you come and tell me that Obama deported more people. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? You can't argue both sides of the coin and have it be completely true. Something wrong. Okay? So across the 8 years that the Obama administration was in, they deported roughly 2.7 to 3.2 million people, formal deportations and removals. And it's the highest total of any U.S. president up until that point. So once again, all of you MAGA people want to make the argument that, they weren't deporting people. That's funny because the facts say something different. And now you agree with the facts when it's convenient for you to do so. Yeah? So, in 8 years, roughly 3 million people were removed. Okay. During Donald Trump's first term, ICE recorded under 1 million deportations in total. So commonly cited figure of fewer than 932,000. Turns out he wasn't all that effective, was he? Over 4 years. Now, he's at it again in his second administration. He's doing the most and how he's allowing people to do it. And the numbers are still not up there. It kind of doesn't even make any sense. It's crazy. Somebody says it never makes sense. When you talk about the facts, something just doesn't add up. But like I said, no one in principle has an issue with people being deported who are in the country illegally. That's, nobody's debating that. But how you do it? And they're not only going after people who are illegal, they're going after American citizens who went through all the routes to get there. Some people were born American citizens. One woman was shot 5 times by ICE agents and survived. Another woman where 60 Minutes just interviewed this weekend, thrown down on the ground, dragged, has burn marks on her from being dragged in the street. She just had kidney surgery. So now they all bruised up, all this kind of stuff. It's just, at what point do you stop justifying being terrorized by your own government? And all these serious criminals that they claim, were going to be nabbed. Turns out a very, very small percentage of them are even fitting the bill. But that was the propaganda. That was the fear mongering that was used. Oh, they're rapists and they're criminals. Turn them in. They say, if you know who they are, turn them in, turn them in. Go to, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. After what you've seen in the Epstein files, go there and look for the rapists, the child molesters, the man who openly told you on the election trail that he will go around grabbing women by their privates. That's the definition of a rapist, of someone who assaults women and doesn't care. But you guys don't care about that. You guys don't care about that. That's acceptable behavior. All right. Let me get back to the point here. Why is this relevant to Cayman? Because our little Mikey is now free. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. I want to score an interview with Mikey because I got to hear his story. My God. Poor Mikey. Poor Mikey. Yeah. Yes, Trisha, isn't that interesting? Under Obama, they had way more deportations, but yet they weren't shooting people like dogs, like I said, in the street. They weren't shooting American citizens. They weren't arresting American citizens. They weren't terrorizing people. They weren't terrorizing 5-year-olds and all this kind of stuff. But yet they still deported more people. How is that possible? How is it possible that they were doing more? They even had an ICE agent who was raping a woman in custody for months. And in using this environment, this toxic environment that has been created, right, to get away with it, raping her and using, oh, you want to see your daughter? Then let me rape you. That's what ICE agents are out there doing. And they didn't have a good record before, but I tell you what, it's gotten worse now. All right, let's celebrate some good news as it relates to our own Mikey.
News tonight of long-awaited relief for one couple in Brooklyn. We told you about their story in December when one of them was detained by ICE. Well, the husband has been fighting for his partner's release ever since. Today, that hard work paid off, and Jenna DeAngelis has their story.
Let us pray.
The quiet power of prayer and the steady strength of faith guiding Middle Church in the fight for their own.
God, we are calling on your power right now for this judge to do the right thing.
Gathering Tuesday to watch a virtual hearing for Alan Dabrio Marrero, who has been in ICE custody since attending a routine green card interview in Manhattan 2 months ago.
We love each other, we stand together, we help each other.
While waiting to be let into the virtual hearing, the gathered group suddenly received a text from Dabrio Marrero's attorney.
He says yes to bond for $6,000.
He's being released.
The judge said it's clear that he has community support, and that was one of the factors that he weighed when granting Alan bond.
Make the Road New York attorney Alexandra Rizzio says DHS opposed the release. We reached out to DHS following the judge's decision Tuesday, but have not heard back. DHS previously stated after he failed to show up for his immigration hearing, a judge ordered him a final order of removal in 2022.
I believe prayer works, and I believe activism works, and I think we did all of that.
I'm very grateful, and it's a long time coming. Today is day 64. Who's counting?
Matthew Marrero is in Mississippi waiting for his husband to be released. He was first held in New Jersey, but says moved several times, including to Alligator Alcatraz in Florida.
The trauma that we both have endured, especially my husband, is going to have its impact, and we're still scared, but we are going to take full advantage of our life and the pathway that has been set for us.
Once back in his husband's arms,
It's going to be a momentous, joyous feeling.
they'll journey back to New York, where Dabrio Marrero has plans to study nursing, work, and of course, pray with their church.
The Middle Church community says they plan to hold a celebration when Matthew and Alan return. In the East Village, Jenna DeAngelis, CBS News, New York.
Dabrio Marrero's attorney confirms that bond has been posted and he will be released soon.
Tonight, a man from Brooklyn who was detained by federal officials for 2 months is about to be released. He's been held at an ICE detention facility in several states after being taken into custody when he showed up for a hearing in Lower Manhattan. But as Eyewitness News reporter Sonia Rincon tells us, the man's husband and church family have been rallying around him.
A moment of elation today at the Lower East Side's Middle Church as congregants gathered to watch on Zoom to see if one of their members detained by ICE would be released on bond.
As soon as the good news came, Matthew FaceTimed us. So all of us were looking in different phones.
The good news, Alan Dabrio Marrero is coming home to his husband Matthew as soon as tomorrow after spending 64 days in multiple detention facilities.
Laney Hall to Phoenix, Arizona, Phoenix to Texas, Texas to Louisiana, Louisiana to Alligator Alcatraz.
And finally to Natchez, Mississippi, where a relieved Matthew Marrero spoke with us tonight.
Back in November, the couple went for their green card hearing here at 26 Federal Plaza. Alan was detained on the spot, told a removal order had been issued for him in 2022. He didn't know about it because he'd missed a piece of mail about a hearing when he was between addresses. The Department of Homeland Security tells us that removal order was issued because his initial 2013 tourist visa expired. As it turns out, before that expiration, Alan, who's from the Cayman Islands, had begun a well-documented asylum process.
Going to hearings, check-ins, had his work authorizations approved every 2 years, paid a fee every 2 years to have the work authorization renewed. He has been legal since that, and that was one of the great things that we were able to prove today in the bond hearing.
I think we've seen that it doesn't take very much for this administration to detain someone, to mistreat the detainees, to trump up, no pun intended, a reason to pull someone apart.
At Middle Church, where Matthew sings in the choir, they've been advocating and praying for an end to the couple's harrowing ordeal that all could have been avoided with better communication.
There's the EOIR, which is the Executive Office of Immigration Review, and then there's the USCIS. Those two agencies are basically in charge of your immigration, and they do not communicate with each other.
Tonight, with the removal order rescinded and a $6,000 bond posted, Alan's immigration status is in good standing to continue pursuing a green card.
I believe in protest, I believe in prayer, and I believe in love, and those three things prevailed for this moment.
On the Lower East Side, Sonia Rincon, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Really, really something. But at the end of the day, just really glad. I saw someone said about the removal order. Well, like they said, they were able to document that even before the removal order was issued, he already started legally to do all of the things that he needed to do, and they had the documentation. Sometimes governments get it wrong. What most governments would do would be to allow you to have a hearing where you can go to court, where you can present documentation and proof and evidence. Like, look, here's the 2 year, every 2 years we're paying this fee. This is what we've been doing. You know, when you have rogue people out there who don't listen to any of that, they just grab you off the street. People are yelling at them. I'm an American citizen. What are you doing? They still ignore them. They're still detaining people. It's this attitude of they are the law and they are lawless and it doesn't matter. That is just so incredibly disturbing. But I'm really, really happy to hear that Mikey Allen, aka Mikey, is going to be back at home. And I know that, them moving him around, I don't even know exactly what he's been through, but I'm sure we will be able to at some point interview him and find out. And again, for those of you who are going around talking about, oh, well, they shouldn't carry weapons. They shouldn't do this. They shouldn't be honking their horns. Need we remind you of the double standard by which so many of you speak on, which so many of you are living your lives with when it comes to these issues? That this is okay. This is how you can show up to a protest with what is this? An AR-15, AK-47? I don't even know what this is. This is okay. But for a man to have a personal weapon on him that is not visible to anyone, not being brandished, all of a sudden, oh, he's a terrorist, he's not a peaceful. Well, you know what? Like I said, I'm going to leave it up to the Americans because Trump is doing such a number on that country that there is no doubt in my mind that the American people are waking up, that they have woken up, and that they will do what it is that they need to do. They'll deal with it one way or the other, and that's a matter for them. I'm going to completely leave that up to them to handle. Really, really sad. It's just shocking. So, yeah, I'm glad that Mikey's situation is being sorted. So, Marimar Martinez, Chicago woman shot 5 times by Border Control agents after they rammed her car. And one of them said, do something, B word, before shooting her. Now she is asking for the evidence. You see, if these guys were in the right, they wouldn't be trying to block all this evidence. Now she's asking for the evidence to be released, right? No charges against her. She's asking for a judge to let the public see the body cam footage, see the communication, see the photos, everything. But they're going around destroying evidence of their actions. The other thing they're doing is trying to control the media. I'm sure you guys have seen all of the headlines about what's happening with TikTok. So the whole TikTok deal has gone down, and one of Trump's friends, yeah, because this is how they do it, one of his friends has purchased TikTok to keep it in the US. And now TikTok has been censoring any DMs, private messages even, that have Epstein files in it. They are blocking those messages. And you know the best that TikTok could come up with? Oh, it was a computer glitch, not censorship. Come on. Really? Really? TikTok is blocking the word Epstein in messages, flags it as a community guidelines violation. El Rey, can you really sit there in good conscience as a Caymanian who we thought had plenty sense? I'm kind of questioning it now, I'll be honest with you. And tell me that when you see something like this, you don't go, oh, this is too much. Well, what's going to be the breaking point for you? How do you support this foolishness? Seriously. And this is one example. Okay? So these are American investors approved by President Donald Trump to purchase TikTok so it can stay on the American platforms, on the phones and so on. And now people can't even mention the Epstein file without having their messages blocked. Censorship. Come on. It's ridiculous. Really and truly. You gotta explain to me, because what you're saying isn't logical. So I'm trying to understand exactly how this works. Sad. Sad times. The Venezuelan president saying that she's got enough already. It's only been a couple weeks. Has it been a month yet? And she's already had enough. I'm just like, this was never going to be a sustainable position. This was never going to be something that, was going to benefit the people of Venezuela. They went about it all wrong. Someone said, I listened to that clip. Alan Dabrio seems to have filed an application for asylum in the US. That makes me sad. Alan could not live his life authentically and happily in Cayman. So disgusting. I hate the homophobia of my people. Let them be, live and let live. And I did catch that as well, which I thought was very, very interesting. But, let's be honest, that application will probably be successful because this is not the easiest place to live if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community. You will face hate. You will face a government who refused to protect the rights of that minority community, Caymanians. So I know a lot of gay people who have moved overseas because they cannot take the hypocrisy, first of all. They cannot take the hate that comes from their own people. It is really sad. This person says, I don't have conversations with his supporters. It hurts my brain. We are living in scary times, not just double standards, but big hypocrites. Quote from George Orwell. Somebody said, please read this for El Rey. Okay, hold on. Let me read it for him. 1 second. Let me just grab it here. Right. So somebody said, El Rey, this message is for you. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. And if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth. 1984, from the book 1984. I remember reading that book when I was in high school, I believe it was. And you thought it was science fiction. You thought, oh, this can never happen. They can never control people like this. They can never lie and erase history. And then you see them going around to national parks, pulling down the history of the Native American Indians who they came here and found. They came from Europe and found the Native Americans. Now they're erasing their history. They're erasing the African American history of slavery and the blood that is on the whole entire American lineage because of that. They're taking down all the placards, all the history, everything, so that they can whitewash it and rewrite it. It's sad. It is absolutely sad. How do you, if you're supposed to be a fairly intelligent, logical person, how do you sit back and allow your brain to be hoodwinked? That's because, what is it that appeals to you about him? Some of you claim, oh, he's good for the economy. Well, now we know that that's a lie. I mean, the worst economy ever. The lowest ratings of any president, he gets up and says the opposite. And y'all are just like, oh yeah, what he says is true. It isn't true. Oh my God. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. My brain hurts. So listen, if you're going to censor the media, and that's how it all starts, believe me, right? If you're going to censor the media, then I say, you know what? Admit to it. They don't even want to admit to what they're doing because they know it's so wrong. Huh? They can't admit to it. Oh, it's a computer glitch. Yeah, okay. Meanwhile, tourism is down by billions of dollars. Manufacturing, remember how he's going to bring manufacturing back? Like everything he promised, he has literally done the opposite of. Manufacturing jobs are down. 38,000 hotel bookings for the 2026 FIFA World Cup have been canceled. The farmers are losing money, right? Some of them are talking about they're going to file for bankruptcy because they cannot hold on any longer. All under Trump, who supposedly was going to make America great again. He was going to fix your problems. He was going to bring, by his tariffs in place, he was going to bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States. And he has done the opposite. The dude has killed manufacturing jobs. Huh? Now, here's a bit of a irony, right? You know, they're hitting Minnesota really, really hard. And you guys need to understand what this is all about. Politics, and as he says, he wants to get his hands on the voters list. Okay, he hand over the voters list and the ICE agents will just miraculously leave Minnesota. Why has Minnesota been targeted? Red state, Republican state, Texas, has 2.1 million undocumented immigrants. Why are they not in Texas? Red state, Florida, has 1.6 million. Why are they not in Florida? Minnesota, which is a blue state, because I see you, El Ray, talking about those poor Somalians, has 130,000. 130,000 compared to 2.1 million and 1.6 million. So they're purposely targeting blue states, Democratic states, with far less illegal migrants or undocumented migrants. We shouldn't say illegal because we don't know. They're just undocumented migrants, right? And you think this is actually about immigration? Check your facts, Bobo. It can't be. You're allowing criminals, right? Proud Boys, the founder, and he was a convicted felon, right? After the ICE database was leaked, you find out that he actually works as an ICE agent. These are things that there's no denying. You ignore the sensibility of it. I don't know, boy. All over the world, including the Guardian, they are running, talking about the U.S. Civil War simulations, right? And the irony of it is what is happening in Minnesota right now is like the perfect starting point of how a civil war begins. And so my position has always been, since January the 6th, roughly 2,000 ICE agents have been deployed to Minnesota again for only 130,000 undocumented workers as opposed to Texas and Florida. And so it is beyond interesting that this is how people galvanize. This is how people begin to say enough is enough and how they begin to stand up. The corporate world has largely been silent. They're afraid because the second they speak out, all of a sudden Trump is like, oh, we need to shut them down. We need to buy them out. We need to do this. This past week, the CEO of OpenAI stood up and spoke out. He said, this is too much. We can't sit back and just worry about our bottom line and worry about money. Good. I say my position has always been this. Leave it in the hands of the American people. They will have to deal with it themselves. That's their country. I'm not an American. I'm not living there. I voluntarily gave up my green card rights a long time ago, and I am so glad I did. Praise the Lord and hallelujah. Not everybody wants to live in your country. And I have lived there for 15 years, and I still did not want to live there past that. So thank you. Thank you, America. I appreciated you for the 15 years. I was respectful when I was in your country. But what I see now is not even the America that I knew back in the 80s and 90s. It's horrible. There's a woman. She owns a Minnesota toy store. American citizen. She criticized ICE on a TV news segment. Hours later, agents show up at her door. Yeah? And start terrorizing her organization and her little small business. That's what they're doing to American citizens, folks. Hours after she was featured on a news segment criticizing ICE, by 4 p.m. on Friday, those ICE agents went to her house, or her business, my apologies, hand-delivered an audit notice demanding the store hand over employment records to the Department of Homeland Security by Wednesday. Payroll records, tax returns, articles of incorporation, the names of all the employees. They was quoted as saying, in 27 years as retailers in St. Paul, we've never been hit with this kind of an audit. We just have 5 part-time employees, all Minnesota-born Americans. So it's kind of a waste of their time to be targeting us, but that's what they do. They target anybody who speaks out, small businesses included. Listen, the world is watching. We are waiting to see if Americans are going to continue to allow this just lunacy to continue in their country. And it's not just reserved for Americans. It is the rest of the world going, you know, we saw the family of those 2 Trinidad people that were killed by the boat. They're now suing the American government. Good. They should sue them. And they should collect millions of dollars. They should have to take it right out of President Trump's own bank account. But of course, ultimately, the American people are the ones who will pay for this. Candace Owens, wasn't she a big-time Trump supporter? What's going on with her? Because she now has shared leaked audio of Erica Kirk just 11 days after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Remember how now she's riding that gravy train? He's such a martyr. 11 days after he was assassinated, his widow was caught on a Zoom call, sounding very, very cheerful and giggling, right? Over the analytics of his memorial service and how she bragged that the event was going to be bringing in $200,000 in merchandise sales and 300,000 new donors. Because that's what this woman is all about, the money. I'm not saying she might not have loved her husband. She probably did, I guess. I mean, I don't know. But she loved him so much that she's seeing him as the gravy train in death, going to secure her pocketbook more than anything else. Don't be stupid. You can support whoever you want. Like I said, I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm pro common sense and doing the right thing for the right reasons. So how you throw logic out the window, I simply don't know. We're getting all kind of evidence. We see, I had a chuckle that the First Lady, she finally decides that she's going to try to somehow be relevant and speak up about, oh, let's be no violence, please, protest, peaceful protest. It's like, who are you talking to? You clearly are talking to the ICE agents, right? Because we know you're not talking to the unarmed Renee Goods who show up at a protest. Well, El Rey says that she should have stayed home. She would still be alive if she stayed home. Wow. The right to protest is a democratic right all over the world. And so your position is, oh, if you stay home, then you won't be killed. That's how you justify it? Wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. You're not serious, right? How does that make any sense to you? It's like, what are you thinking? My God. Let me see if I can pull up this video. Now, here's one about the Trinidad families.
And we have some breaking news this evening. The U.S. Southcom Command announcing a strike against an alleged drug smuggling boat in the Eastern Pacific. Southcom posting this video of the strike on social media, saying it, quote, conducted a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel operated by designated terrorist organizations. That strike allegedly killed 2 people and left 1 survivor. It is the first U.S. strike on an alleged drug boat this year and the first since the capture of Nicolas Maduro earlier this month.
All right. So, my apologies. Give me 1 second here. So yes, we have here, let's see here. We have here, folks, the very, very interesting evidence. And listen, I'm not here to argue with you about whether or not these people were drug dealers or not. Like everybody else, they are entitled to due process. They may be drug runners. They may have a long, extensive history of that doesn't mean, right? In the United States of America, you arrest someone and you get the arrest wrong. You just slip up, didn't read them their Miranda rights. You could have found them with a dead body in their hands. And do you understand that because of due process, you would have to let that person walk and let them free? How do you then explain, right? How do you then explain that you can just kill a non-American out on the open seas with 0 due process? That's the part that I don't get. That's the part that I don't get. So your citizens are somehow worthy of more protection? Because if anybody else did this, if anybody else harmed American citizens in international water, no matter what kind of criminal activity they were up to, it would be World War III. But yet it's okay because, oh yeah, those are just people from Trinidad. We know Trinidad not got a backbone. She's not going to do nothing to protect her people. And so it's okay. It's just madness. I don't even know how to do it. It's just madness. Absolutely madness. Anyway, if they're going to have a civil war, however it's going to go down, I'll be here watching and listening and paying attention and just trying to reroute my my Amazon orders so that, Amazon, try and hold it together. Another one of his friends, but try and hold it together because your price is increasing as well because of all the tariffs and all the foolishness. The cost of living has gone up as a direct result of Trump and his behavior. Yeah, cancel the World Cup. That would be good. I don't care. At this point, like I said, the Latinos from America. Oh, by the way, the Cubans, this is so funny because a lot of them supported him and made him win Florida. Now he's deporting more of them than ever before. Good. Deport them all back to Cuba. Perfect. Because one thing I know about human beings is they don't learn nothing until it impacts them. They got everybody. Oh no, we're not gonna worry about the Haitians. We're not gonna worry about the Venezuelans. We don't care what he's doing with Trinidad. He can blow everybody. He can blow Trinidad off the map. That ain't got nothing to do with us. But when he comes knocking at your door, Cubans, and he starts dragging your people and sending their ass back home when they've had protections forever, then y'all like, oh shit, it's now our turn. Good. Because that's the only way you can learn. All of this is like if you had a playbook of what happened leading up to World War II during the Nazi occupation, this, y'all need to take notes because this is the playbook. The denial of so many people like, oh, this isn't happening, and then the bodies start to pile up. But it seems to me that the only way you get there is for it to actually happen. You can't talk logic into people who are looking at situations and refuse to see the truth. So they will only know when their bottom line is hit, when their businesses are failing, like the farmers right now, right? Now they're starting to complain. They're going bankrupt. Now they're like, oh shit, we made a mistake. Really? Huh? Oh, now you're getting it. Now you're understanding. Oh, we're going to have to file for bankruptcy. We're going to have to shut down. Oh, okay. Go right ahead. The president said that he had nothing to do with Project 2025, right? Which is this right-wing policy plan that became a flashpoint during the presidential election. Here's the funny thing. For a man who had nothing to do with it, who feigned ignorance, go read this very, very interesting NPR article, because 1 year later, many of Project 2025's policies have been implemented. Dismantling the Department of Education. Who does that? Well, when you're like Trump and you want a stupid populace, because that's the only way you can do some of the stuff that you're doing. Your populace has to be stupid. They have to be people who don't want to read and research. They're going to just believe whatever you tell them. So of course you're going to dismantle the Department of Education. Of course you're going to dismantle FEMA. And then you get hit by a snowstorm that you've not seen the likes of in decades. Wait for the result of that. Oh, FEMA has been defunded, so we don't have any money. It's crazy. But you know what? I say let it happen, because that is the only way. They've left the World Health Organization. Poor California has gone and joined the World Health Organization on their own. The first time a state has done something like that instead of the whole country. There's only one way that this is going to end. And whatever way it ends, whether it's going to be a right-out civil war or whatever, that's on America. The world will watch you. We will see you burn, and we'll go, wow, this is a cautionary tale. And it's a cautionary tale for everyone, even us here as Caymanians. Listen, I get it. I understand why some of you feel the way you do about immigration, but then I sit back and I listen and I watch, and I love when we post stuff. They're like, well, what if everybody wanted to come to the Cayman Islands? I'm like, do you know anything about Cayman? They're already here, Bobo. Don't know what the hell you're talking about. But how you go about fixing immigration is important. I'm going to say it again. How you go about fixing immigration is important. You don't take this attitude that we hate all expats and let's just deport them all. What Caribbean island right now? I think it's Grenada, right? Who's taking a very firm stance on immigration. All of a sudden, they don't have enough workers in their country and they're begging for workers to come. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You know that Caribbean saying? Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You have to have a balanced approach to these things. Balance matters. Someone sent this comment. Well, Philip says you can't fix stupid, but you can sell it as a MAGA hat. The forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe. For the axe was clever and convinced the trees that because its handle was made of wood, that it was one of them. Wow. And I've always said, this man has been a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's not Republican. He's not Christian. He's not a good person. He's not a good father. He's not faithful. He's not a good business person. He's none of those things. But you see, he tried to relate to those people to get what he wanted. In 1 year, the net worth, the fortune, the money of the Trump administration has tripled. Of the Trump family, my apologies, has tripled. The people that have been helped with all of the economic decisions and whatever that he has made is the top billionaires in the country. Not even the millionaires. The millionaires are still hurting. It is the richest of the rich, the billionaires. That is who he is helping. So even those of you sitting down here, y'all not billionaires. I hate to tell you that. Sorry, Dan Scott, you're not a billionaire. I know you're a Trump supporter. You might have millions, but you ain't got billions. You're not rolling that tight. Guess what? His policies are not going to support you. Isn't that funny? Y'all like, oh, he's good for the economy. You know, he's going to help with pension. He's going to help with our investments or this and that. Turns out, unless you are in the top 1% of the 1%, not so much so. Sorry, Bobo. Not good for you. What a hot mess. This is the reality of it. Lord Jesus. Person says 1984 was inspired by World War II wartime propaganda, concentration camps, and the authoritarian governments. Not surprised. George Orwell was on top of it, and the things he said apply even now. So there you go. What a hot mess. It's crazy. And like I said, we will sit back and we will watch the hot mess of a situation. I mean, it's unbelievable. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's unbelievable. Anyway, I don't know what to tell y'all. Like I said, I'm sitting here like the rest of you watching it. Here's another one. I mean, it's like you cannot deny, every time like, oh, they shouldn't have been there. Why were they out protesting to begin with? I'm just like, wow, that is so wild. And y'all think you're any better than the Chinese? The Chinese say, oh, you're not allowed to protest, or we'll shoot you in the streets. And Americans think they're better than a communist country. Look at this little girl. Look at this little doll face. 5-year-old deported to Honduras despite being U.S. citizen is latest child victim of Trump crackdown. Y'all don't even care about the children. What the actual fuck? 5-year-old Genesis Gutierrez, a U.S. citizen, was sent to a country that she's never known, reportedly holding her and her mother in a hotel for days without a lawyer, without a hearing, and telling them not to share their location. So now she's in Honduras, her birthright citizenship. Okay, they don't care about that. Because remember, he says that he wants to rip this right from people as well. The Constitution says if you're born in the United States of America, you're a citizen. He wants to do away with that. It's just unbelievable. You rewrite the Constitution however you want it to be. It's just like, wow, how did y'all get here? And you're still, unfortunately, a lot of you still sitting down defending this man. All right. We'll see. Just keep watching, I guess. What a hot mess. I don't know what else to say. It really does leave me speechless. Oh, here's the stats. I was looking for this number earlier, actually. So remember, he was saying that we need to bring manufacturing back to the United States of America, or terrorists are going to do that. We're going to force companies, immigration policy is going to do that. And this is the reality of actually what has happened. 72,000 is the number of manufacturing jobs that have been lost since Trump's Liberation Day tariff announcement in April of 2020. That was what, 2025. 8,000 of those jobs were lost in December alone. It has gotten so bad, the unemployment numbers, that for the first time since those numbers have been recorded in American history, the administration of the day, which is the Trump administration, is refusing to allow them to actually publish those numbers. Huh? Isn't that wild? Refusing to publish the numbers because the numbers are that bad. Wow. I can tell you what. If former President Obama had ever refused and told an agency that they couldn't publish any kind of statistical numbers or information because it was going to make him look bad, y'all would have burned the White House down. Seem El Rey and all the rest of you would have burned the White House down. So explain how you let this happen. And you say nothing. That's acceptable behavior. Y'all are not even holding him up to your very fragile standards that obviously are not standards at all. Go read the New York Times article, Hard Times in the Mississippi Delta as farmers consider letting crops rot. I'll share the link here with you guys because I think you need to read these things. But hard times. They would rather let them rot because they're not making no money off of the crops anymore, thanks to the Trump policies. Prices for nearly every major U.S. crop are below what it costs to grow them, but a drop in rice prices means another blow to farmers in Mississippi's agricultural belt. Okay. This one farmer said, "What am I supposed to do with 2.2 million pounds of rice?" He says, "I'm serious. What am I supposed to do?" It wasn't a rhetorical question, right? He'd even considered whether he should just dump the greens onto a field or rot. Dump the greens onto a field to rot. Farmers are struggling. Prices for nearly every major crop are below what it costs to grow them. And this comes down to, they say that although a lot of the focus has been with the trade war between the United States and China, farmers in Mississippi are perhaps worse off than farmers in the rest of the world. Rice is one of its biggest crops and almost no one is buying. This is what they're saying. Things feel so hopeless. This is a recent Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation meeting. A group representing farmers, participants floated the idea of a government program that would buy producers to destroy the harvested rice sitting in their bins. They did a similar thing in the 80s when the agriculture department paid farmers to idle the land and reduce huge surpluses of crops. You see, if you guys are not reading and you're not educating yourselves and you're not paying attention, I suppose that makes sense as to why you're so easily fooled. That's why you'll believe any kind of foolishness. Now, you guys saw a situation where this woman, what's her name? Ilhan Omar. I don't know how to pronounce her first name. She's this Muslim representative in the US. She was actually attacked yesterday at a town hall meeting. The guy sprayed something on her. I don't even know if they know yet what he sprayed on her. But listen to this. Her security were able to neutralize the attacker, ensure his arrest without executing him. ICE agents would have shot him right in the head. I mean, let's call it. This is where we're at, folks. He still got to her and was able to spray something at her, which is ridiculous in my opinion, but nonetheless, the man is still alive. He will go through due process. There's an NPR article right now that you guys should go read. The headline says, despite dozens of lethal U.S. military strikes on suspected narco boats, drug flow continues. Allies are alarmed and Caribbean fishermen say their livelihood is under threat. Because again, the people that they're shooting out of the water are not the ones who are transporting the drugs into the United States of America. So this is all about putting on a good show. This is all about optics. Go and read. NPR does an amazing job of, I must say, reporting factually and accurately. As a matter of fact, let's listen to this story. They have an audio of it. So let's just pull this one up and listen to this one. Right? So he claims that the whole purpose of shooting them out of the water is to stop drug runners into the United States of America, stop the fentanyl, stop the whatever else they got going on there, the heroin, the coke, whatever else. And that ain't got nothing to do with these people in these boats.
It's easy to forget, given the government's use of force within the United States, that the government is also using force outside the United States. The military has carried out nearly 36 lethal attacks on boats that the government says were smuggling drugs. The latest strike on Friday killed 2 people and brought the death toll from such operations to at least 126. The policy is meant to stop drug trafficking to the United States. John Otis reports it's not.
Here on Colombia's Caribbean coast, Euris Cervantes starts his outboard motor and pushes off from shore. It's 5 a.m. and still dark. The Big Dipper shines overhead, and as we approach the open sea, we spot hundreds of herons. It's a placid scene, but Cervantes is nervous.
Bueno, y uno se va a 32 millas, 42 millas, ya eso es lejos. Sí, más expuesto porque está uno no está por acá por las orillitas ya.
He used to navigate some 40 miles offshore, where the fishing is much better. For his own safety, Cervantes now stays close to shore. That's not the only change brought about by the lethal boat strikes, which Human Rights Watch and many legal experts describe as unlawful executions.
The Allies don't want their intelligence to be used for what they regard as illegal operations, in other words, killing people on the high seas.
That's Phil Gunson, who's based in Venezuela for the International Crisis Group. He says the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and France used to share with the U.S. its intelligence on drug smuggling in the Caribbean, but that's no longer the case. Another U.S. ally, Colombia, produces most of the world's cocaine, but instead of destroying drug boats, its military captures them. The Navy base in the coastal city of Cartagena is full of impounded narco submarines and go-fast boats, some of which can carry up to 5 tons of cocaine.
Colombian Navy had to fire on this go-fast boat to get it to stop, and its 4 outboard motors are just riddled with bullet holes.
But the Colombian Navy almost never uses lethal force, preferring instead to take suspected drug traffickers alive to face legal charges and provide intelligence.
Well, the Colombian Navy have rules of engagement in the sea.
That's a Navy captain involved in counter-narcotics operations who asked to remain anonymous for his own safety. Since the U.S. bombing campaign began in September, he's seen no pause in drug smuggling.
Last week, we have a big seizure here in Colombia of go-fast with 4.5 tons of cocaine.
In other words, the go-fast boats are still going.
Yeah, they are still going out. Yeah.
President Trump claims the bombings have stopped 97% of all illegal drugs coming into the U.S. by water. However, drug policy analysts point out that most narco boats drop off their cargo in Central America or Mexico, with the drugs then taken overland to the U.S. And during the last 3 months of 2025, when the U.S. bombing campaign was in full force, drug seizures at the U.S.-Mexican border actually increased. They were up by 34% compared to the same period in 2024 when there were no bombings, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection data.
I don't think it has any deterrent effect.
Ben Steck-Schulte is a Tampa-based attorney who has defended suspected drug smugglers from Latin America.
The drug cartels kind of figure out, okay, we're going to lose some of these shipments, right?
But the boat bombings have disrupted the lives of Colombian fishermen, like Cervantes. They catch a few sea bass as well as 14 lobsters that flop around in the bottom of the boat. Back on shore, Fermin Perez of the local Fishers Association says some of his members have been traumatized by watching videos of the boat bombings.
Muchos no están saliendo, pero nosotros tenemos la necesidad de pescar y de eso es que vivimos y de eso es que comemos.
Many no longer go out in the ocean, he says, but we need to fish because that's how we live. That's how we eat. For NPR News, I'm John Otis on the Caribbean coast of Colombia.
What a mess. He just makes up the numbers. Oh, 97% of the drugs have been stopped. And the reality is the Colombians are like, please. This dude. No, it has had no impact whatsoever. Anyway, folks, I gotta go. Trump ain't paying my bills. So, you know. Wosa. What a hot mess. Farmers, just hang in there. That's all I can tell you. I don't know what else to say. It's going to be a rough road to all of our American friends and family. Please hang in there as well. Yeah. It's going to be crazy. 3 more years if he lives that long. Low key, I don't think he's actually going to live that long. He's been having some health problems. That's another thing that a lot of people are ignoring. He's been having some serious health problems. They believe he's actually had a stroke. And that's why, half the time he's not even paying attention. Did you guys see the video where he said that he falls asleep? Well, he's closing his eyes during his own cabinet meetings and so forth because they're boring. He released a statement. Somebody asked him about it yesterday. And he says that he is doing that because the meetings are boring. So it's hard for him to stay awake. I swear to God, I'm not lying. I'm not making this stuff up. That is the president of the United States of America. He's saying he has to close his eyes and nod off because these meetings are low-key boring AF. And they're meetings that he's hosting, that he's holding. And they're so boring that he falls asleep. I'm like, what? There you go. Anyway, Lockabody says when Trump dies, I'm throwing a party. Well, he's 80. He's the oldest U.S. president. He couldn't even remember the term Alzheimer's the other day because apparently in his family, this is no joke now, but in his family, they do have early onset mental cognitive decline. And so when they talk about the fact that, he probably already suffers from it. That's why he can't even remember the name of it because father had it. It runs in the family and he's not in the best of health. I mean, look at the dude, right? That's very, very not just likely. That is probably exactly what is happening. So I don't know if he's going to make it through his tenure, right? He's a heart attack waiting to happen. I mean, anybody can go at any time. But anyway, so go and read this EU publication. Trump says that he shuts his eyes in cabinet meetings because they are boring as hell. Boring as hell, his quote. Okie dokie, Trump, your own cabinet meetings are boring as hell. Well, thank you very, very much. Okay. Anywho, folks, do enjoy the rest of your day. Please be safe out there on the roadway. We continue to post all of these really, really poor drivers in Cayman who don't seem to know the road rules, nor do they care. We notify the police. We hope the police are doing something about it. And we will certainly keep all of you updated. Like I said, you cannot make this stuff up. Unbelievable. Do better in the streets. All right, good people. Have a wonderful evening. What is today? Wednesday? Yes. Oh, I've got a business lunch meeting today. All right. We will see you guys tomorrow morning. Don't forget the minister will be on the program, so tune in early. Minister J.E. Banks will be joining us. We can hear a bit about some of the initiatives that he has been undertaken in his ministry of planning, lands, planning, lands, agriculture, housing, and infrastructure. He's got a lot that falls under his remit, by the way. So make sure you tune in early to tomorrow's program. Have a beautiful day, folks. See you tomorrow morning.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.